Hi, Liam. I've been thinking more and more about artificial intelligence. Some people say it can be dangerous. What do you think? How much of a threat is AI to us personally and to humanity as a whole?
Hi, Jess. You've brought up a really important topic. And yes, the concerns about AI are quite valid. But it's important to distinguish between real threats and potential risks. Let's start with how AI can impact an individual.
Let's do it. What are the main dangers here?
First of all, fear of losing jobs. AI is already replacing people in professions with a lot of routine or repetitive tasks. For example, in manufacturing, logistics, and customer service. Even drivers are at risk now with the development of self-driving vehicles.
Yeah, I've heard that chatbots are already working in support services. But doesn't AI also create new professions?
Absolutely. There's growing demand for developers, data analysts, AI ethics specialists, and if people are willing to learn and adapt, they can integrate quite successfully into the new reality. The key is timely retraining. And it's not just about new professions. If you learn to apply AI in your field, you can become a more valuable specialist and elevate your profession. For example, when someone online claims that teachers will soon be obsolete, I can't help but laugh. A teacher with AI can grow professionally, work more efficiently, save time on routine tasks, and dedicate more time to individual and creative work with students. The same applies in other fields.
And what about privacy? AI works with our personal data, right?
Exactly. That's the second major risk. AI processes vast amounts of data, and if that data falls into the wrong hands, leaks, manipulation, even interference in private life can happen.
Like general data protection regulation in Europe? It regulates that kind of thing, right?
Yes, such laws are very important. We need to not only develop technology but also ensure its ethical and safe use.
Looking at the bigger picture, what threats does AI pose to all of humanity?
That's where things get even more serious. For example, uncontrolled AI could lead to unpredictable consequences. If algorithms operate autonomously and make decisions without proper oversight, that's dangerous. Especially in the military sector, where AI is already being tested in weapon systems.
That sounds terrifying. But can't we just set rules?
Exactly. Regulation is key. That sounds terrifying. But can't we just set rules? Exactly. Regulation is key.
Facial recognition cameras. That's already reality, especially in some countries.
True. That's why international cooperation and global agreements are so crucial to ensure AI is used for good. And there must be accountability from decision makers, supervised by civil society.
Is it even possible to prevent all these threats?
It is. The key is to take a multi-pronged approach. First, regulation and ethical standards. Second, education. People need to understand what they're dealing with. And not just specialists, the general public must also understand what AI really is, so no one can manipulate uninformed people using disinformation or made-up myths that have no basis in reality.
And I guess explainable AI is important too, right? So we understand how AI makes decisions.
Exactly. Transparency in AI systems will build trust and help avoid mistakes. And of course, international collaboration is essential. This isn't a problem of just one country.
If we dig deeper, I think you once said it all comes down to human development.
You're right. Technology can't be ethical by itself. It's people behind it. It's people who control AI, not the other way around. Like we said in our previous video, AI has no consciousness, no goals, no motivation. It's just a tool, a machine. And this brings us to the conversation about spiritual and intellectual development. Without inner growth, moral direction, and awareness, no amount of regulation will help.
Like a moral compass, right? So we use AI for justice, care for others, and harmony with nature?
Exactly. We need to grow not just technologically, but personally. That's the only way we can manage AI responsibly, rather than blindly. And in fact, new technologies might even stimulate our intellectual and spiritual growth. Without that, we won't survive in the future. Otherwise, it'll all collapse. I hope people's survival instinct kicks in.
And intellectual development is also needed to understand the technology itself, right?
Yes, critical thinking, analytical skills, the ability to ask the right questions. Without that, society simply won't be able to engage effectively with AI.
So education needs to change too?
Not just change, but deepen. Ethical training must be part of preparing specialists. We need engineers who understand not just code, but the values they embed in that code.
And then AI can become our assistant, not a threat?
Exactly. It can make our lives easier, take on dangerous or boring tasks, help in key areas, like the environment, medicine, education, but only if we consciously choose how to use it.
Liam, it sounds like there is a path. It just requires us to become better. Do you think we're ready for that?
Honestly, not quite yet. We're still learning. A lot of us cling to old patterns, power, profit, control, but it is a path. And if we start with ourselves, developing awareness, values, responsibility, then technology will serve humanity, not the other way around. And I think our audience would agree with that.
Thank you, Liam. That was a really inspiring conversation. I think I'm looking at AI differently now.
Glad to hear that, Jess. The main thing is, don't be afraid, understand it, and act consciously. Then we'll have a real chance at a harmonious future. I think it's a big topic in itself. How to overcome the fear of AI, how to regulate its use, what still needs to be done. If our viewers are interested, we can dive deeper into that in a future discussion.